And we are joined now by Fox News contributor and former U.S. ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, with a little insight on what's going on. Ambassador Bolton, what do you make of today's developments in Ukraine?
This is a good example of what can happen when the United States and Europe fail to take a strong line on the kind of aggressive policy that Vladimir Putin has been pursuing. While there's some progress in the business of getting the bodies of the deceased from this tragedy together and getting investigators on scene, basically it's been a travesty of justice and humanitarian concerns that it's taken this long. And I think the reason is that Putin thinks he can get away with it. We don't really need to know all the specific facts. We know what happened last Thursday when that Malaysian Airlines plane was shot down. I think Putin is just playing for time to try and reduce the pressure for increased sanctions, and I think the president's statement earlier today, unfortunately, only contributed to Putin's view that he really doesn't face strong international pressure.
Ambassador Bolton, big picture, a lot of countries are dancing around this issue. They don't want to get involved. How does the downing of this plane by pro-Russian separatists change the calculus?
Well, I don't think anybody believes that Moscow directly gave the order to shoot down a passenger plane. I think everybody agrees that the Ukrainian separatists saw it as a cargo plane and that tragically it was a mistake. But there's simply no doubt that Putin's assistance to the pro-Russian separatists in these eastern Ukrainian provinces gave rise to the circumstances where this kind of tragedy is possible. And countries in Europe, or the United States for that matter, can dance around what to do. But the consequences are clear. And if Putin is able to get away with this in effect, it's simply going to reinforce in his mind that aggressive, assertive policies work. And others around the world, China in the East and South China Seas, will draw the same conclusion. So a lot rides on this. This is more than the tragedy of the killing of these almost 300 innocent civilians. I think there are broad strategic issues being implicated here.
From where we stand now, what, in your mind, would constitute a measured American response to this?
Well, I think, honestly, we need more than the response we've had now. I think we have to look at the broad strategic context. This is another example of Putin moving Russia into an adversary posture vis-a-vis the United States and Western Europe. And I think a lot more is necessary than just ad hoc tactical responses like aiding the Ukrainian military or small additions to the economic sanctions. Those may be fine, but I think we need a larger strategic response. I think that means going back to President Bush's 2008 proposal to bring Ukraine on a path to NATO membership. I think it means returning to a robust American national missile defense program. And sanctions, economic sanctions against Russia that are real, not pinprick sanctions, but something like cutting off all Russian financial institutions from activity in American financial markets. That would get their attention.
Ambassador John Bolton, thanks so much for your expertise today.
Thank you for having me.